Welcome to the Powered by Ground training, the pie of real estate, focusing on new homes, resale, and distressed properties. Every week, we're trying to bring you information on how to better service your clients in their immediate need. Our vision and our goal that through these trainings, through these thought processes, through these masterminds that we have together with you online or here present, that we could learn how to upgrade our service skills, upgrade our processes when we're servicing clients in new homes, resale, or distressed. Every week, we talk about the thought of the day. It's something that helps and motivates us in our business. And the thought of the day today is define your chief aim. Define your chief aim. What is the target that you are aiming towards? Whether I'm shooting a gun or shooting an arrow, I have a target that I'm trying to hit point on. In business, it's the same thing. What is your target that you're trying to hit point on? And all of us know, whether it's shooting a gun or an arrow, all of us know that from the first try, you're probably going to miss. And you might miss by a long shot, and it's okay. But you see the target in front of you, and when you're shooting that arrow, you actually see where the arrow is going. So you have an opportunity to see how really good are you at hitting your target. You're able to go back and assess your business, assess your life, and say, next time that I'm going to shoot towards the target, what do I do to get better? Do I check the wind? Do I check the forecast? Do I move my target closer? Do I move my target back? Whatever the means are for you to hit the target straight on. And as you know and I know, the more people practice, the better they are on hitting that target. But if you don't have that target in front of you, you are going absolutely nowhere. And that is why we talk about defining your chief aim. What is that one thing? And I really like the book that we have here at Keller Williams called The One Thing. What is that one thing you're aiming for? Put that as a target. And every day you get up, you're like, that's one thing I want to get closer to. And that's one thing I want to hit the target on. My chief aim at that one thing. So thought of the day is those people who have that chief aim, they're saving so much time and momentum because they're not spending their energy on nothing else. They're not going after 20 things. They're going after that. The people who have that chief aim, they're able to give you a story about how day to day they get up and they're trying to hit this target and they're slowly moving towards it, towards hitting that goal. Those people who have a defined chief aim, they go so much farther in life than those who have nothing. Why? Because they're putting order to chaos. They're putting an order and they're saying, out of all the things in life, I want to hit that. That is the option that I want to hit. And when they hit it, they have a story to say. They talk about the journey. They talk about how every day they put this target in front of them and they want to hit that chief aim. What is it for you in your business today? What is it for me in my business today? Maybe it's more transactions. Maybe it's more closings. Maybe it's assessing the market. That is why we call it the pie of real estate. You have to look at all these buckets of business opportunities and evaluate them. What is the best thing for your business, your company, your solo program, your team program, your company program? So define the chief aim. Previous lesson, we talked about debt. And you can look below at one of the videos below and find that lesson. We talk about the 4 distress situations that people can have and how we need to service. And we talked about debt. We talked about how we need to restructure debt. Maybe focus on new extensions and deadlines. Maybe talk about interest rate reduction. Maybe talk about payment deferrals. Maybe talk about debt forgiveness or reduction. We talked everything that has to do with debt. That's basically loans. We talked about people having credit cards, car payments, loan payments on their toys, and then we talked about that circles around real estate. Whether it's your first mortgage, your second mortgage, your third mortgage, everything that eventually are judgments that come upon that house through the whole process. We talked about debt. And it is so important that you and I understand debt and what it does to people. And unfortunately, all of us have to deal with debt because all of us at some level carry some debt throughout our life. And real estate, because it's the most expensive item that people mostly buy, it's really important that they understand how debt works within the concept of real estate and what options they have or what options they don't have. And when the market moves more towards this distress situation, when it's resale, new homes resell and then this distress, or unfortunate situations happen in people's lives, one of the hardest conversations is the finances. You have to sit down with these people and you have to say, let's look at all our options, and then here's your option, or here's your option, or let's talk to your bank and talk about this option or this option or this option. Like whether it's a loan modification, what about we restructure debt here? Maybe we prolong the payments here. Maybe you see if we can drop interest rate here. I mean, you start to work with your bank to see what you could do to truly continue doing the debt payoff, but you need a restructure due to the circumstance in your life or the circumstance to the market. So that is an aspect that all of us brokers have to learn, the services around that, whether you need to plug in CPAs, attorneys, and so forth, because there are some tough decisions that your client can make that, might end them up in some legal aspect of liabilities, and us as brokers, we just have to transition them to a good attorney or a good CPA who can help them assess all of these factors about their situation. So last time we talked about debt. Debt is a huge sector of our market, and we have to learn all the services and all the people who will help us in helping our clients deal with their debt situation. Today, the lesson of the day is going to be focusing on the 10 steps of how you could better serve your sellers in helping them sell their home. And why you want to know these 10 steps is because they're part of the formula that helps you elevate your business. If you have these 10 things and you are able to provide that as a service to your sellers will look at you as a person who knows what they're doing. And again, you don't have to make this complicated. Whenever you go into a hospital, the nurse, the front desk person, the doctor, they all have clipboards or they have a computer, and they just go through this list and they assess what is happening with you. So part of our service skills is helping assess the reality of our clients, and by asking the right questions, by leading them through the right process, it's called you're helping come to a self-awareness for them. They're becoming self-aware of their own situations by helping them discover the whole process. So number one, market analysis and price strategy. And I know a lot of us in our email signatures or in our drips, we always throw this carrot through marketing, find out your home value. Why is that? Why is that important? Well, a lot of homeowners truly don't know what their house is worth because they're chasing the market, whether they're chasing it up or they're chasing it down. Meaning they do not have a sense of what buyers are willing to pay for their home in their market. So price analogy and price strategy and market analysis, CMA, whatever you want to call, is so crucial. And one of the things I do is every 6 months I sit down and I just look at markets, I look at our MLS, I look at Zillow, I look at zip codes, and I see where things are at, like per square foot, where things are at location, what things are at as assessment values. You have to have a finger in understanding, you have to have an understanding and evaluation of what things truly cost in the market. So if this pen costs $1 and I'm trying to sell it for $3, we know that supply and demand is what rules the market. But if I'm trying to sell this for $3 and it's only worth $1, we're not going to get anywhere. I have to get it really close to that dollar to move it. And I always say the markets don't go anywhere. They either go up or down, supply and demand. Either there's less buyers or more buyers. Either there's less sellers or more sellers. But today we're talking about sellers. So number one, figure out how you could be delivering a better service in market analysis. Whether it's another link, whether it's a campaign, whether it's a landing page, and you send your clients to that landing page and they fill in the form and they get a price evaluation, whatever it is. But you have to, and I have to figure out how we could become a better service for our clients in this. I really like a lot of brokers in their signature when they send an email, they have find out what your home is worth. And people can click that right there in their email. So figure out market analysis and pricing strategy. Number 2, property preparation and staging. It is so important when you walk into a home, you figure out how to help this seller prep their home to sell. From the curb appeal to the backyard, to how the kitchen is looking and how they're staging their bedrooms or their bathrooms. It is so important that we provide that service to our clients. And if you don't know how that all works, just go into a couple design studios locally in your area, wherever you're at. I bet there's a couple servicing companies out there that focus on staging or focus on some kind of a design studio about how they work. And just ask them questions about how would you stage a house like this or this house or so forth. And ask them if they would be a reference, or you could work out some referral program with them so they can come into a home. You could take photos. You can send these photos to them, and they can give you some inputs of what they would have done better. Like on a lot of curb appeals, I talk to my landscapers about what's a defining aspect to a home on the front of the curb. Do we want more rock? Do we want more flowers? Do we want more bushes? Do we want nothing, just grass? Do we want no grass? Like, you have to slowly understand what the market is asking for, and then the best advice you can give. Do we just freshen it up and throw bark at it for a couple grand and just call it a day? What is property preparation look for you, and the services you can offer to your clients in that? Number 3, marketing and advertising. We are in the marketing business. You and I as brokers, we have to market our properties to the market. And it's not like it used to be in the old days. You have to think about new creative ways to market your client's home. You know, we used to just get away with the MLS. Then it was Zillow. Then it was Redfin. Now it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, like fill in the blank, Craigslist, all of this. So you as a marketing company, what are you taking, and the necessary steps we have to explain to our clients that we're taking to help market their home to the public. So marketing and advertising is number 3. Focus on marketing and advertising. Number 4, networking and buyer outreach. I tell all my sellers that there's 2 ways that buyers will enter your home: through our direct marketing and then through other brokers. So you must be engaged in the broker network. You must talk to other brokers. You must push your home to other brokers that they can push this home down their buyer pool pipeline. We have to be always engaging with other brokers in the community. This is the power of networking and buyer outreach. You should focus on what's sold in that area and talk to those brokers who help facilitate sales within that zip code. And a lot of brokers, when I have a listing, another broker would call me and say, what kind of activity have you had? What's the buyer? What was the final price that you sold for? There has to be some engagement so we can both, as brokers, do the best job for our sellers in that zip code or that area. So number 4, networking and buyer outreach. Number 5, negotiation. Negotiation is almost an art of itself. You and I have to help negotiate with the buyer's broker, the buyer, the seller, regarding the whole transaction and the process of the transaction. Can we squeeze on the closing day? Can we get bigger earnest money? Can we get this? Can we remove that? We have to negotiate on behalf of our seller because we are working for our seller. So we got to think, what is the best interest? Does my seller need 1 more week to move, or he needs 2 more weeks, or he can move out now and we can push this thing towards close? Like, we have to negotiate and become great negotiators for our sellers. We cannot just give in on the first proposal that our potential buyer does. And I've seen laundry lists of expectations from buyers, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If we go after that, that's a lot of work. So you and I, as brokers representing our sellers, we have to learn to negotiate. Negotiate the best terms with the best timings and the best closings, and keep all of that as smooth as possible towards the end. We have to talk to our sellers, and that would be 6, on transaction management and legal guidance. Have transactions ended in legal disputes? Absolutely. We don't live in a perfect world. I say once in a while you do get a bad apple, and you have to work through the legal aspects. Whether it's earnest money, whether it's inspections, whether something got covered up and nobody knew, and so forth. So transaction management and legal guidance is so crucial. In transaction management, again, we're in helping move through the process. You're telling your seller, we're going from here, now it's to this stage. From this stage to the finish line, you should expect that it's going to take 3 weeks. So once we're done with this, we're 2 weeks to closing. Once we're here, loan docs we got loan docs in escrow, we're probably 4 days to closing. So you help move the transaction and the transaction pipeline with your seller, informing them of everything and all the activity that is taking place. So 7, price adjustments. Price adjustments is so crucial. A lot of brokers are scared to talk to their clients about price adjusting. You should have a pulse on the market. You should have a pulse on pricing, and you should be very open about having that discussion. I remember when I started, that was the hardest thing for me to talk about with the seller. I got the listing. I did everything to get the listing. I got there, and I put it on the market. I spent marketing dollars, and the thing ain't selling. And it's not selling. And I knew that I have to talk about price adjustments. So when you're talking at your listing appointment, you should be talking about all of these things, including price adjustment. How are we going to pursue a price adjustment? When do we do a price adjustment? I say we usually like to do a price adjustment right before Thursday, so that new price can go through the weekend with that new price adjustment, and buyers have the opportunity to get emailed that information on Thursday, and then they have an option to look at it through the weekend. But I mean, you have to have a strategy around price adjustment. Number 8, closing process support. You should introduce your title rep to your seller. You should introduce other people that are going to help them close the file, close out their maybe debt on the property, their mortgage statement, their utility company, close out everything that has to do with the house. So I always remind my sellers is, yes, the mortgage is going to get prorated, and maybe sometimes you get a bill, your insurance, so make sure you talk to, the bank is going to be talked to, make sure you talk to your insurance broker, make sure you talk to your utilities company, make sure everything is setting up to close out the file, close out the process. Really important, when the seller's sitting there and talking their final numbers, the seller net sheet, and that's 8, 9, and 10, is focusing on seller's net sheet. You and I have to focus on the seller net sheet. What is the seller walking away with? They always want to know their number. Yes, it adjusts all the way. There's a lot of proration that takes place, taxes, insurance, commissions, all of that. But they always want to know. So during the closing process from, I would say, step 7 to step 10, you should always be talking about seller net sheet. And then post-sale follow-up. Talk to your sellers after they have closed. Why? Because there's a chance they might buy a house. Maybe they're selling and they're setting aside capital, but the whole deal is your sellers are the ones who have money. Your buyers are usually the ones that don't have money, they want to buy a home. But your sellers, their net capital is higher than most buyers. So when working with sellers, working with listings, you're working with a higher net person. That means they have more capital to deploy back into real estate if they choose to. And that's why follow-up with sellers is so crucial. So the minute you have a seller, you work through all of this process, and you close out the file, you help them through the whole transaction, make sure to follow up. Because this seller can become another buyer or potentially become another seller in the future. So 10 steps how to increase your services with your seller. This is so important. And after our education, after you listen to all this training, I always tell brokers, just take one or two. Don't look at all of these 10 or 11 steps and just say, oh, this is so much work. It is a lot of work. And it takes a career path and a career journey to build up every single one. But you should, just like we talked about aiming, you should aim and say, I want to have a really good seller presentation. Why? Because anytime you hear it's all about listing, leverage, commissions, right? Listing, leads, listings, leverage. You have to focus on sellers, and sellers are your highest paid return in real estate as transaction volume. So focus on your sellers, focus on your services, and increase your services for the categories that we went through today. And if you do that, I bet you and I guarantee that you'll get more business. Because if your sellers get serviced well, the chances is they will go back into the real estate market to buy real estate. And this seller could become a buyer fairly quickly.